Garrett, go ahead and fire with questions.
I guess just being able to break through in the second half with a goal yesterday, how significant was that in the grand scheme of things to be able to claim all the points from that match?
We'll see how significant it ends up being, but it felt pretty significant in the moment. We have a lot to play for. Things are really tight in the conference standings. Things are tight on a national level. There's a big difference between 3 points and one on multiple levels. And so we talked about it with the team before the game. I mentioned it yesterday after the game. It felt like a must win, especially after Thursday and what we thought was leaving 2 points on the table. So great job to the team. I think Lexi was monstrous in the second half. We asked for players to step up, those attacking players, because we were creating a good amount of chances or good pictures, but we needed goals, and Lexi wore them out down that left wing, and even before she scored, she created multiple crosses and multiple corners, and that's hard work, you know. And so when she came out of the game, you could tell how tired she was, but we needed her in that moment, and she delivered.
I'm wondering what you've liked so far about Emika in the starting lineup and like maybe a slightly different shape associated with that.
We've made a few little tweaks to our personnel, whether just moving people around or inserting Emika into the starting lineup. She's always been, from day one, a player that's really comfortable with the ball at her feet. She has patience. She understands tempo, when to speed things up, when to slow it down. I think the adjustment that Emika had to make in coming here and coming into our system was a lot of the stuff off the ball. A little bit in possession, but I'd say mostly out of possession. You know, she's her and I aren't going to go win a lot of head balls when we play. Neither of us are blessed vertically, and you know, she's not the fleetest of foot, and so it's really important for her to be able to know where to be on the right shoulder, to come at the right angles, and she's grown into that role. I have a lot of admiration and gratitude towards Emika for her patience and professionalism. She didn't come here to come off the bench. That wasn't the intent, but that's what ended up happening last year. That's what ended up happening first half of this year. Players can have a lot of different responses to it. She always stayed really professional, great teammate, great training habits. And yeah, so far, I think we've tended to have a little bit more control of the game with her in there in possession, and that's her calling card. So she's been, that adjustment so far has done well. We'll see as we kind of travel the rest of the season.
It's not unusual to have two of your last three on the road, but maybe these two, same state. What's the approach going into this weekend? Is there any silver lining to it? Is it good? Is it bad? Is it neither?
I wouldn't say I get excited to play any team in this conference, right, home or away. They all give different challenges. This one, I think, is a little bit unique, and it's our first and only 5-game road trip of the season. We had a few last year. We went to Arizona State, so it's interesting that it's coming this late. I'm going to try to not talk about it much with the team, but it's fact that we're playing at a little bit of altitude, and so we'll see how much that does or doesn't impact our team. The hope is that as little as possible. I think BYU specifically presents a challenge in that they have the highest attendance in the country, and so I think historically maybe one of, if not the biggest, home field advantages in the country, and you know, that could be tough. It could be daunting. It could be intimidating. It could also, I think, provide a lot of energy. Energy's harder to find on the road at times, but when you're playing in front of 4,000 or 5,000 fans, it shouldn't be. As long as you can get over the nerves and, you know, maybe that first punch that they could hit because they feed off that energy, it also keeps us going. Or that's the hope. Yeah, it's Sunday's going to be tougher, and we're going to play a team that's good, that's kind of steadily rose in the rankings throughout the year, is fighting for a lot, both in terms of making the Big 12 tournament. Utah's crept its way into NCAA at large selection right on the bubble, and they need to get on the right side of the 50-50 line, and so we're going to play a super talented team that's just very, very tough to play at home, and then we're going to play a very good Utah team that's going to be probably just as desperate as us for points. So not an easy challenge. It's okay. I think the situations I get most nervous for are the ones that feel a little bit easier. I personally prefer the challenge. I personally prefer playing really quality opponents, and hopefully that rubs off on the team to some extent.
Those 2 days in between with the Friday and Saturday, how does that change your preparation, I guess, in terms of do you have a game plan for when you're on the road in terms of practice, in terms of film, all that kind of stuff?
We have a plan. We'll see how it goes. Now, I think we meet every Tuesday with the whole coaching staff, director of ops, strength and conditioning, athletic training, sports nutrition, sports psychologist, and we talk through what tends to make sense during those times, and especially with this particular trip, do we do anything differently? Do we tinker at all because of the altitude? I think 5 days on the road trip is great. It's in my experience, that's where a lot of the great team bonding comes in, because you have a lot of time around each other. Just because of the circumstances of having only one bus, and you can't probably be overly physically exerting yourself in between those 2 days, then it means a lot of downtime around each other, and that's where a lot of the memories can be created, as long as we create the right environment for that to happen. It could also feel pretty long by the end, and you're sick of catering food, and you're sick of the conference rooms, and so we try to find the right mix of, we're going to be in one of the more beautiful parts of the country. Let's enjoy that. Some people have never been there, but we also have 2 games to win. My personal philosophy is, let's not lock them in the hotel. We've, in all my experiences as a head coach, we've had the fortune of going to pretty cool places, and this is one of the neat things about being a student athlete, is traveling around the country. Hopefully it's not just getting in a plane and getting in a bus and sitting in a hotel. Hopefully it's having some new experiences and seeing this vast country. So trying to find the right mix. But we certainly have to show up to play on Thursday evening and Sunday afternoon.
I seem to recall that when you went to Utah State, you weren't entirely pleased with how you handled the altitude there, or how maybe the team reacted to that. Does that inform the way that you go into it this time, or how can you learn from that experience?
It's tough to know what to attribute a not great performance to. I would hope it's not because the altitude. You don't know. It might have been. I think it was our first road match of the year, and so you're still trying to figure out how to perform on the road. I hope and don't think that it's going to be correlated in that way, but we'll see. I'll talk to you after the weekend.
And what do you make of how many Big 12 teams are clustered at the top of the national RPI at this point?
I think it's fantastic. We just had a couple emails flying around the Big 12 coaching group. We don't want to spend all of our time talking about scheduling, but it's very important when it comes to this time of year of how the conference has done collectively in non-conference play. Because then if we do it right in terms of intentionality, and then you have to go out and win those games. So if your teams are good enough to go get some W's, then this time of year, most games you play don't have the punitive impact if you lose, and then have all of the benefits if you win. And so Baylor TCU played the other day, and they're sitting at 3-4 in the RPI, and one of them has a signature win now, a top 5 win, and so that's going to do well. The team that lost is still sitting at 4, so that's the beauty of if the Big 12 in this case does well non-conference, then this is the time it pays off for all of us, and hopefully we can get 8, 9, 10 teams in the NCAA tournament, which I think would be a high watermark. Even if you look at our team, I wish we hadn't lost those 3 games. I love to have those 3 games back. I think we left a lot of points out there, but our 3 losses are against 3, 4, 12?
13, yeah.
13?
Yeah.
3, 4, 13 in the country. That certainly shouldn't hurt us when, after 3 games, when some people are going to have to make some hard decisions. And even our 3 ties are something like 5, 14, 60. So that Utah State game, which feels like a loss, which feels like a poor performance, it's not. It's a top 65 team in the country, and they've been climbing. And so, no, I think it's not the glamorous part of the job. We want to go out and train our teams and make our teams the best, but it's also important that we schedule with some intentionality, win the games, and now hopefully we're all feeling the benefits.
Your team has seemed all year to be so locked into what's in front of you, focused on the challenges in the Big 12, et cetera, et cetera. Do you get any sense that they feel the stretch run is coming? It's the calendar says it is. Whether they're aware or acknowledging it, it's right there. Do you see any of that, signs of that, or do you even want to?
I want to.
Yeah.
So I would like to, because you have to find another gear this time of year. I think you're more naturally tired from the cumulative physical effects of the season, from the emotional effects of the season, the ups and downs. We're not the easiest coaching staff to play for in terms of our expectations on a daily basis. That's not easy. These are student athletes with aspirations after college and really take their grades seriously, and they're doing very well this semester for whatever it's worth. And so the school brings stress, and so all that comes and that can weigh you down, and we want to be playing our best this time of year, so you have to look, it's our job as coaches to also create and set an environment where they can find that next level, where we can hit that extra gear. And sometimes, as much as we try, it's hard to artificially create it on our end. Oftentimes circumstances dictate those emotions, and I thought we came out flat on Thursday against West Virginia. That was a top 10 team, top 10 opportunity. We played fine. Like, we played something resembling well, but that probably doesn't get you over the hump against a team at that level. You need that extra spark. Great thing about this team is when we leave an opportunity on the table, we tend to respond. And I thought, although it wasn't perfect Sunday, I think elements of the game and phases of the game, that was our sharpest performance. We still need to clean up other things. So I'm hoping that it starts to set in, and even if we reflect back on last year, it was about this time that we started to do it, but it didn't happen until we got a couple wins, right? That momentum can be powerful if we harness it in the right direction. First, you have to get some wins to string them together to create that momentum. So I think it's there. That's our bet. That's what we probably stress ourselves out in the sleepover, is how we as a coaching staff can give them the best chance to find it. But certainly string some wins together could help.
You proved last year in the conference tournament that seeding might not be the most important factor. How, as a coach, do you approach being the underdog versus being the favorite?
It's more fun being the underdog. Give me that tag, and I proudly, happily wear it as long as possible. I also think it's an honor and a privilege to be on the other side, and it's well earned. And so we want to get to a place where we're the hunted, and all that comes with it. It's more fun being the underdog, and so we have to be able to wear both hats, right? It's easier for me probably to motivate them when we're wearing one than the other, but I think this time of year, the urgency should step up either way. Yeah, I think once it gets to anyone who makes the Big 12 tournament, seeding might matter, we'll see, but I think the top 6, 7, 8 are pretty clustered as it relates to quality, talent, commitment, and so getting in is the first step, and then I think it's, I don't know if I want to say coin flip, but I think a lot can happen once you get there.
Any other questions? All right, thanks, guys. Thanks, Coach.